In the meantime, opening ceremonies in South Korea for the 2018 Winter Olympics happening in just a few hours from now as well. But Vice President Pence has already been sending a very strong message to North Korea during his travels overseas.
We will not allow North Korean propaganda to hijack the message and imagery of the Olympic Games. We will not allow North Korea to hide behind the Olympic banner the reality that they enslave their people and threaten the wider region.
Joining me now is Hudson Institute senior fellow and member of the House Armed Services Committee, Rebeccah Heinrichs. Rebeccah, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So let's begin there with what the Vice President had to say. What do you think?
You know, I think it's incredibly important that the United States sends a strong message that we're not buying the propaganda that North Korea is peddling, that the North Koreans cannot, again, like the Vice President said, hide behind the Olympic banner. It is a terrorist regime. It is building illicit nuclear weapons, missiles that can reach the United States. And so, we got to stay focused on what the problem is with the North Koreans. And even though the South Koreans are so desperate for some diplomatic breakthrough, the United States isn't buying it. It might have worked with the Obama administration, might have worked with the Clinton administration and other previous administrations. It's not going to work with this one.
Yeah, we knew that South Korea, their new leader, was going to come in, and this was something that he was in favor of. What do they call it? Sunshine policy, I think is what it was referred to. But then you hear China sending 300,000 troops to the border, so they have a different take on what's going on.
Well, I think China understands how serious the United States is. President Trump gave an incredibly tough statement during his State of the Union about North Korea. He spent a huge chunk of the speech just talking about the nature of the regime, how terrible and barbaric the regime is. And it's because of the nature of the regime that the United States can't allow it to hold American cities hostage with nuclear weapons. And now Vice President Pence is bringing Otto Warmbier's father, Fred Warmbier, to the opening ceremonies. Remember, Otto was that American who was tortured in North Korea until he died. And so what that communicates to North Korea and to South Korea is that the United States still takes this so seriously. We are committed to this pressure campaign to ensure that North Korea does not get to keep these nuclear weapons after this administration is out of office.
Yeah, it really was a remarkable moment during the State of the Union address, not only with Otto Warmbier's parents there, but also the military member who tried to escape North Korea as well.
That's exactly right. There was that member of the South Korean or the North Korean that escaped into South Korea and went through all of that misery just to get out of the miserable regime, the clutches of that regime. And what a message that communicates to other North Koreans that there's freedom just south of the border and that they really are living in just misery in North Korea. And so it's a humanitarian disaster. That's why the United States can't allow a regime that's so cruel, so horrific to have the responsibility of having nuclear weapons that can reach the United States and our allies in the region, South Korea and Japan.
But then you have Kim Jong Un sending back his own messages with this military parade that he had.
Yeah, he had this military parade. It was a little bit more subdued than I was anticipating, but he did have these giant intercontinental ballistic missiles that they paraded. And remember, these are the missiles that can carry nuclear weapons to the United States. So he's communicating, and they moved this parade. This parade wasn't supposed to happen the day before the Olympics, but they did that to communicate that, it's a charm offensive. They're trying to manipulate the situation by participating in the Olympics. But clearly, this is not a regime that's interested in negotiating its nuclear weapons program.
A charm offensive. I like that. Rebeccah Heinrichs joining us live this morning with her insight. Always knows what's going on. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Heather.